What's happening, people? Welcome back to another episode of the monthly retros. This is going to be for July of 2025. It's currently August 2nd as I am recording this. But yeah, this is the seventh month of the year. If you guys don't know, I run a web design strategy studio here in Columbus, Ohio. My name's Andy Milligan. And basically every month for this year, I've been documenting my journey, everything behind the scenes in terms of finances, profit, loss, revenue, leads, projects, updates, where we're spending money, where we're making money. And I record these as a way to kind of encourage myself to get behind the scenes and be transparent. So if you're trying to build something on your own, you're a freelancer starting a business, this is me, showing every step of the journey. So without further ado, if you guys haven't watched these before, we usually start in Notion where we kind of track everything high level. And I'll go into our cash flow analysis, and that's in a Google Sheet. And then we also track some other things in terms of content, mailing list size, etc. that I will show you guys as well. So I'll start with the high level view. As you can see, we've been doing this since February of 2024. It's a nice little slow growth graph we got going on here. We also have a couple of new things I'm going to be including this month in terms of things I'm going to be sharing in terms of time tracking, which I've gotten really diligent on, really getting better sense of where I'm spending my time internally versus stuff on the podcast, which isn't revenue generating. To one-to-one is not, but we'll explain more about that later because there's some exciting things on that front. We also end this month too with a little bit of a wins, losses, things that are removed from the finances as well. So without further ado, let's really get into the nitty gritty. I'm actually excited to record this month. So zooming in on this month, this is everything we're going to run through super quick. Like I said, we started time tracking a little bit better, so there's going to be some insights around that. One last data point there. And we also got better at, I'm starting to use AI to offer insights in terms of the data. So I can export my time tracking from a Google Sheet and Moxie that we use to track all of our time. I also have our contractors log in on that, and it can really make recommendations. And it's getting really fun to actually do these. This is still a slog to do. I'm not going to lie, to get all this data together and aggregate it. And obviously, I'm still nervous every time I go through and record these because it is transparent. But anyway, back to, I'll go through the profit loss, business revenue, expenses, and then we'll talk everything content-wise. So business revenue, I'll go back to the master view so you can compare it month over month. The business made top line 12,047, and business expenses were 672.96. Personal expenses were just under 1,200, so 1,178, and personal income is not displayed on here because that's just menial stuff with like interest rates and things like that, and investments as well. The recording this on August 1st. Outbound proposals, we currently have 2 out. LinkedIn followers, I hit 5,000 followers this month. This is really cool. And mailing list size actually grew up substantially. So not substantially, but by 15, which is like one every other day. It's kind of cool to see it slowly grow. And this has been my warmest lead source. We have about, not lead source, but it's really starting to get momentum on it. And I just send 1 email a week on Sundays. If you guys aren't subscribed, I'll include the link below here. But it's basically just taking my best performing LinkedIn post of the week and expanding on it. And I get a lot of responses from it. It gets about a 60% open rate to 250 people, which is not bad, considering I'm not an email expert, I would say. But yeah, diving further in on this month, actually, we'll go over to Google Sheets for the cash flow analysis here. And this is, I blurred out all the client names per last time. This is the month we're recording here, so I'll highlight this differently so that you guys can see it a little bit better. I kind of graded out already, just because it's what we're dealing with now. And these numbers don't sync exactly one-to-one with what we see in the Notion database, but it all aggregates because there's a couple that are kind of on the edges of each month, and it's it's just there's a little bit of gray area in terms of when I go through and do these, I pull a little bit from Stripe, I pull a little bit from Moxie, which is our CRM. And sometimes there's Stripe fees. There's also some different things with Remitly, which is what we use to pay our contractors. And there's also edge dates in terms of where those line up. And we had two go through on the last day of the month. So there's slight variances in it. That's what it accounts for. All of these up here at the top are now everything on here is contract bound. So this is you never it's secured revenue, but everything at the top here is our recurring. So we just signed a new recurring Webflow maintenance client this month, and we are very close to closing another, which is really nice. Um, so this month our recurring was 5,700 that we have secured between 6 different website maintenance projects. We got a finishing deposit for, I don't remember what that one was for, but that's a deposit for a website build. This was a closing deposit for a website maintenance. This one is ending this month, so this will be one of these red X's. We no longer have this client churned this month, which is okay. It was one of those, it was kind of adjacent skill sets. It was a WordPress management. And that's something that we kind of want to get away from as we do more of it. And it was a totally amicable relationship, really good work done. But it was for a company in New Albany, and it just no longer made sense for them to continue to do WordPress work with them. So that I guess that would be technically a loss, but I don't really view it that way because it's more time I can spend on what I can do. This was a closing retainer for a website project, so we wrapped up that project this month. It's 1,500, 1875. I don't remember what that was for. That is a progress retainer for that. This was for one of our white label partners in Iowa, and that was for landing pages. So those are 2 one-off project deposits. We have some secured revenue from them in the works as well. So we have the completion invoice on that one will put us to 1,000 projected this month. And basically, what I do is when they are projected, I'll put them in italics like that. Um, but it helps me kind of forecast in the future, and you guys will see how all of these formulas. Again, shout out to my man Chris for helping me put together this analysis. So basically, when you look at our cash position, you can tell our current and where we're projected at. This should be syncing more to this right here. But this is our current cash position and where we're projected to be at based on what we have in recurring. So this month over month growth is accounting for everything that's already populated up here. And I can go in and add the rest of these because we just signed a new maintenance client this month. So, um, but yeah, you can see our top line revenue 11,818, which was pretty close to what it was in Notion. It was 12,047. Like I said, there was slight variances in terms of fees and contractor labor, etc. Um, this is our expenses in the business. So business expenses, like I said, were I can calculate that by uh, our contractor labor was $598, split between 3 different clients, which is or really just 2, and a little bit for internal stuff that Ali was doing to help us between like meetings, etc. Business expenses, what I can do to sort of mm, um, measure that is just subtract contractor labor from everything else in the business expenses. So 672 minus 90, 672 minus 598. Let me do that. 672 minus 598. Actually, let me just show you guys how I do it in here. So if I were just, this is Monarch Money. This is kind of like our top level aggregator. So if I go to last month and then I go to filters and I hit, I have all my business expenses categorized for tax purposes. So business, these are all of our categories. We just click business and then exclude contractor labor, boom, like that. Hit apply. Then we can tell 320, and this is spent on software and everything. So I'll go through all these too. So we actually, some of this is through traveling to Atlanta. So that's kind of what that one is for the food, travel and meals, a little bit of networking. We paid for a networking event. Um, and Spirit Business Connection. So our quarterly dues for them. Google Workspace is the software we pay for. Um, Icon Generator, that was for a project, and Webflow. So I just um, paid a one-off fee there. Whisperflow is the typing software that we use. OpenAI, obviously. Adobe, that's a creative software. Workflow, which is our client feedback tool. Riverside, which is our podcast editing software. Shutterstock, which is our stock imagery software, which we probably won't be using. I used it for the one of our healthcare websites because it's very important to have real photos and not AI ones. Um, Chipcourt and one that was for a networking event parking fee. So, in terms of software, let's look at how much the business pays on software. I'm sure that's something that you guys are interested in. If I deselect all and only select business software and tools, click apply. We pay about 170 a month in recurring software, which is not bad at all. Recurring wise, this one's going to end. I'm tooling around with buying Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer, which are one-off purchases. The only thing I'm having with Adobe is that it's so there's such platform churn issue, the switching costs. So all my projects are already built in there. I know how to use it. I've been slowly trying to use Figma for our thumbnails. Um, they don't have as robust of editing features, but it does the job. And I'm huge on staying lean. And $40 a month is just not ideal. And I know it's a better use of my time to focus on making more rather than just nitpicking every transaction. But anyway, I'm not stoked about that. Don't expect that to be around for the long term. But any Anyway, that's what our monthly expenses are looking like in the business. If I go back, I meant to check. So 320, so I can fill out that cell right there. So recurring expenses were a little bit lower than last month, and contractor labor was obviously a bit higher than last month, or about the same actually, because I was split between one, actually way lower because I had to pay for the branding last month for the healthcare client, but anyway, that is the cash flow analysis. Let's get back into Notion, review some of our pages. Like I said, we hit 5K followers. I added a bit of personality to the LinkedIn profile, as you guys can see. Added a giraffe because it's a big part of my story. If you guys don't know, my moniker is kind of a baby giraffe because of the way I run, and I'm like long and skinny. So yeah, and I also added I host Marketing by Design podcast, and I have hearing aids to help me ignore the noise. So adding some personality, which I think I could have a little bit more of. These are just screenshots of all the dashboards, just for social proof. And this is what I did in Gemini. So what I started doing is I synced my Notion calendar to Google Calendar, got better at time tracking, and I exported the time sheets from Moxie into Gemini and said, okay, reference my Google Calendar. What am I spending the most time on? I'm getting better at naming the events based on the clients that I'm working with. And it will tell me, okay, these are all the clients you worked on. This is how long you did spend on each one. This is the type of stuff that you did too. And Notion Calendar makes it really easy to just voice annotate notes in the description of an event. And it can pull from that when it analyzes your calendar. So I'll probably blank some of this out because there are some client names in here. But what I want to focus on is this part here at the bottom, or so like the podcast. So recorded 5 podcasts in July. Here's everyone we recorded with. Total time spent on podcasting activities 11 hours. He's dedicated a significant portion, and it's also like adding insights too. So total amount of time clocked in throughout the month: 241 hours, 10 minutes, 12 seconds, which approximates out to 60 hours a week. Um, which is a good bit. It's not that much though. You know, I can choose any 18 hours of the day that I work. Um, but anyway, the total amount of time spent on each client, 96 hours on internal work, and then it goes through and tells us like, okay, every hourly client, how much time we spent on each one. So I'll probably blur that part out. I spent about 11 hours throughout the month on breaks, cardio, and dinner, and it gives me a nice little summary in terms of everywhere I was spending my time. So that's really cool. I'll definitely start doing that more often. And the last part we're going to get into, I know I've been rambling on for a while, is our wins, losses, and what we are focused on for the upcoming month. So wins, was able to make 2 really good referrals, people in my network for projects. That's such a win for me, and the way that the goodwill that builds is just incredible. I have 2 new trusted partners to add to the trusted partners directory. So this is the favorite page I have on my site currently, where I just list all of the people that I've made referrals to and have supported me in my business for subsidiary services. And we have 2 more to add here. We have our partners, Fluid Minds, who are our software development partners in Iowa. And then we also have Bobby, who's the founder of Video Voss in Columbus. So he's going to be a nice little video agency referral right here. And yeah, I love this. This is my this is my favorite thing ever. We actually hit the 2-year anniversary of the podcast, which I forgot to share, but I shared this one video that did really well on LinkedIn. Basically, where I was a year ago, living alone in Marysville, in that apartment, just kind of like an empty room, sort of super founder vibes video. But let me pull that up just to share because it was probably my best performing post of the month. It was literally just a video talking, just addressing the camera, saying, okay, I've been doing this for a year now, talking a little bit about my story, starting the podcast. It got a super good response, and it was really cool. So go down to the profile here, share that video, um, bring it up, tag some of the people that I had interviewed a while ago. There's like stuff like this I'm learning is really good for personalization on the video front, and just being transparent. But yeah, it's just a little in the janky studio here, not even a studio, just horrible hair. And yeah, it was good to sort of see how far we've come. That's a big part of these retros too, is that you get a better sense of, it's for me personally to appreciate, how far you've come. And I'll never give myself credit for feeling like I've made progress because it happens so slow. Um, but it takes conscious, and if you're a builder too, you're building your own company, you have to look at these things, because or else if you never stop, it's just an infinite hamster wheel of the next thing, and you can never sustain it, enjoy it, appreciate it. And I've had my experiences with something similar to burnout. But if you don't give yourself credit for the wins, you have to cringe almost in the moment of, okay, this feels like taking my foot off the gas. This doesn't feel natural. This feels like I'm hyping myself up. Do it anyway because it's important. Um, so yeah, that's all I'll say on that front. And sort of going back to the wins and losses, started 2 new retainer clients, which is going to be really good for our ARR. Our ARR currently is going to be, this is a quarterly client, so I had to kind of spread out the aggregation of, it's 2,500 a quarter. They paid a month deposit up front, and then I'm averaging out the rest of the quarter for what they're going to be paying in total. So, and ARR recurring for next month, we have 5,300 secured. Um, and what I didn't realize is if we go and add these up, we have secured more than 100K. But to this point, we haven't actually made 100K yet. We still have 95,619. So really close to 100K in 7 months. And that was kind of the whole goal when I started. Um, and we're really close. Actually, this just came through yesterday. So yeah, we hit 100K. Um, I didn't think about that. So um, I guess that's a celebration. Um, I will celebrate that another time. Wow. Okay, cool. Um, I didn't even have it on my radar that we were getting that close. So yeah, that's awesome. Um, on the wins, that would be a win that we hit our annual goal. Um, so yeah, and the on the other wins and losses, we delivered branding work to our healthcare client. That went really well. They're using that to develop out their software. Um, we had a lot of podcasts, new connections. We have a lot of podcasts on the radar for August as well. Recording 3 this next week, 2 the week after, and we're starting to get some bigger names and have better conversations. I'm getting really good feedback on the show itself, on the guest experience. Um, we're up around where we just published episode 107, and I have some really exciting conversations coming up this week, which I'm excited to dive into. And we also helped Katie move into her new house. So she moved into a house here in Ohio, and we helped her move a little bit, and that was really fun. Our losses, we lost a 10K proposal. Um, Made a really good referral for that one though, and it felt good, so it wasn't a huge loss. We kicked off 2 new that's not a loss, that's kind of more of a win. 2 new retainer clients is a win. Um, on the losses, we had some very low energy and apathy. We toured 2 apartments in Columbus, which was a long drives, so hour plus each way, and they did not end up panning out. So I don't want to say it's wasted time because it's always a good thing to go and experience things in person, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. But we still have some searching to do. We had a few binge eating episodes due to stress, which is something I'm always working on. We put off taxes until the last minute, so we just paid all of our taxes from year 1 in the business, which was a lot. Um, but it was kind of a grimace, suck it up and get it done. And that's not really a loss. It's just leaves a bad taste in your mouth sort of thing. Um, but for my focus areas and lessons, the biggest takeaways: streamlining file organizations, building delegation systems to make clients. So streamlining file organizations. I've had this thing with Google Drive where it just won't sync all the way, and I've been putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, and it just makes everything so stressful because I'm always building new folders for clients, and just I've been putting it off. It's a really bad thing. So I'm done with my BS this month, and I'm gonna get it done. And that may look like just taking the time to say, okay, while these files sync, just not doing any work because it's really hard to work and do at the same time. One other thing is I am building delegation systems to make clients easier. Right now, we do everything in Moxie, basically a Kanban board where I create tasks. And it's not terrible, but I want to get it so that it's more automated, repeated, that I get Slack notifications when things are updated, statuses change. And there's everything. I want everything internally to be a bit more automated between communications between me and the developers. So prioritizing that. We're going to move all of our business finances to Mercury just for the ease of use because WritePad is not a very friendly UI. It's just not a great experience. So we're going to fix that. And yeah, that's going to be a priority for this month. And just clean out the finances. Like I said, the more time I spend looking at the P&L, breaking out the cash flow analysis, the better I feel. So we're going to take care of that. Another thing I'm going to do is implement least one automation slash agent. So I've been playing a little bit with N8N, and I sort of view the podcast as like a dabbling ground for implementing automations, whether it just be simple things like emails, follow ups, drive file uploads for footage, stuff like that, scheduling, non-client facing stuff. And I want to start to implement a few of those and just get relieve the friction of getting started with that, because that's going to be the future of the business. I had a call yesterday with I can't remember his name, but he owns an agency called Ponzi in Atlanta. Micah is his name, Micah Latemo, and we're going to be talking more about how we're both using that in our own businesses, and maybe eventually getting better at holding each other accountable on those things. He's also going to come on the podcast. So anyway, this was a really long and drawn out one. I'm sorry again for going way too long, but a lot of wins, a lot of losses, a lot of learning, a lot of growing. So again, this was month 7 of 2025, and I guess it's not road to 100K anymore. So I'm at a point now where I'm excited just to do it, and I can't believe we did it in 7 months. So um, give yourself credit for the wins and keep hammering. I'll see you guys next month.